I would next like to introduce Dr. Fran Chiaramonte. He is the biological and physical sciences program scientist for physical sciences at NASA headquarters. Dr. Chiaramonte, welcome.
Yes. Good morning. Hello, everybody. My name is Fran Chiaramonte, and I am the program scientist for physical sciences at NASA in the BPS division, and then in our new director at the Space Mission Directorate. Welcome, everybody, and really looking forward to this. And we are so thrilled with the huge turnout and participants that we've gotten from the USA and around the world. So welcome. Next slide, please. I thought I'd try to hone in a little bit on what some of our, what you've just heard. In this division and in this directorate, there's a focus on something called transformative research. And as you heard, we have two major areas that we're going to pursue. But I thought I'd just introduce that topic a little bit here and maybe help with people to understand what that might mean. So very simply put, it's the research that we're looking to do is challenging current understanding, all right, and providing pathways to new frontiers. So I know in general people will intrinsically say, well, research, often does challenge current understanding. That's probably why we're doing it. I think the focus might be that look for ways to do bigger impact, ways that can be most effective, all right? So just to give you that broad drop, okay? And then, so as mentioned before, but I like to kind of put a spin on it here, the major way to look at the moon, and so such a wonderful, unique opportunity coming up is two ways. One, NASA and its international partners and industry are going back to the moon, as I imagine all of you know. And so part of the goals of the workshop is for all of us to help identify challenges and knowledge gaps and help in that way and participate in trying to close some of those gaps and enable us to go to the moon, right? So, but the trick is not so much in the technology. There are sister groups at NASA that will handle developing machinery and excavating lunar regolith and building habitats and roads and landing pads. So that's not us. We're the group behind that is looking at if there are research areas and opportunities on the moon to help enable that exploration, missing understanding about the material properties of some new lunar binder or cement, perhaps, that needs to be developed. What is the optimal composition? And how did we arrive at that? And how does microgravity play a role? And any of the other, for that matter, any of the other variables play a role, such as temperature or radiation. So that's how we can be productive here, is simply to look at it from a sort of an applied research perspective on helping to fill the gaps behind the technology that needs to be developed. The other way to look at the moon is it's just like another laboratory. So instead of having a lab at your university or institution, now all of a sudden this satellite itself is in a laboratory, and it's yours to dream with and develop ideas. All right, and those ideas can be due to its unique microgravity environment, the vacuum, right, the huge temperature swings, the radiation, as it goes around the Earth and the whole system goes around the sun, you're getting that radiation. And because there's no atmosphere, it's uniquely different radiation than what we experience here on Earth, and the fact that we have a magnetic field. So it's just a new test bed or a new platform for just pure science, right? Not about exploration, not about putting people on it. It's a laboratory, and it's yours to figure out what you'd like to do with it. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so You heard about the white papers. Craig mentioned that, but I thought I'd give you some specifics here. We have a decadal survey committee that's newly formed. Okay. We just had our first major meeting with them to introduce our program and, you know, and it's an overview of its content to them, literally Monday and Tuesday. So they now know a little more about who we are, and we did tell them about the workshop. If you want to learn more about this committee, you can go to that link there in the middle of the page. It's in that blue color. What we're encouraging participants here to do as they become inspired about the research they want to conduct and propose against on the moon in the future is that if they could pause and consider writing either a topical white paper or a research campaign to that end, and that would be, you know, sent into the national academies through that same link, by the way. You can do it that way. So the topical papers are really a singular concept, and those are due in roughly 2 months by the end of October. Research campaigns are a much more involved concept. It's usually multi-level, many experiments linked together, perhaps a series of them, and so much more ambitious and robust. And those white papers are due December 23rd. The white papers are short, though, only 2 to 5 pages. All right, and you can find out more about it at the link. So that's sort of the first goal is, we'll say, is to dream in the research mode on what is the most important research that you can do, either participate with our future pursuit of the moon or the laboratory. And the second goal is we encourage you to consider writing a white paper. All right, and so this last slide, perhaps many of you won't need this slide, but I just thought I'd throw one in here for fun. All right, so this is an idea of what we would, how we would, I would, you know, encourage everybody to think, and you will, but I'm not trying to say that. I know you guys are, a lot of you are very senior professors and so on, but the idea is, don't think of developing machinery. Think of the research or, you know, the machinery to extract the regolith to develop the cement or the binder. Think of what are the problems developing the binder, right? Developing the cement. So this work was earlier, so it's not directly lunar related, right? This is using Portland cement. This is Professor Redlinska's work up from Penn State. We conducted this about 2 years ago before the Lunar Initiative really was taking off. And in this, but I just thought I'd throw this out here just to kind of get people focused on, yeah, we want research, right? And here's an example of what we had done recently that is somewhat related. All right, so you can see the Portland cement in 1G on the left, lunar G in the middle, and microgravity on the right. So as you and so the two partial ones were done on the space
2 minutes,
station.
Fran.
Okay, they were done on the space station, and it was with a variable gravity facility centrifuge to get the partial. As you can see, the air pockets and voids are much more pronounced in the partial and lunar, partial and zero. And as you progress, the voids appear to be larger, right? So this has an impact in the structural properties of the cement. This is exactly what we're trying to learn in either fluids or combustion or materials or complex fluids and soft matter. What are the differences scientifically? And then how can we move that along to help the technology groups use it in a meaningful way to develop, in this case, landing pads? Okay, so that concludes my talk. Thank you much for your interest and your participation today.
Great. Thank you, Fran.